we will be handling files in PHP, and yeah, we have so far done forms. Yeah, it's necessary for us to actually know what files are in PHP, the various operations that can be performed on files. You should note that some of the times you might be working on files when you back in. You might want to open a file, you might want to read it, and so on. PHP offers some built-in functions for you to do that, and that is what we are going to be doing in this tutorial. What we're doing, firstly, you should know that file system are an essential part of HTML, sorry, an essential part of PHP, and they allow you to actually create, read, append, update, and delete files. So PHP offers all of these functionalities, and we are going to actually study the various PHP functions, inbuilt methods that are used when working with files. We'll actually start with opening files in PHP. Now, for you to actually work with a file, you must have opened the file. You can't work with a file that you've not opened, right? The PHP open method, or fopen, is used to actually open a file. So it is a PHP inbuilt function which is used to open a file or a uniform resource locator, right? It is used to bind a resource to a stream using a specific file name. So you have your location where your file is. You use the fopen to actually get that location and bind it to maybe a given variable or whatever, so that you can actually work with it. Now, this is the syntax to open a file. You use the fopen inbuilt, and you pass in the file name and the mode, right? When I say the mode, it means you want to open the file in read mode, in write mode, or in append mode. Okay, that is it for fopen. And the next one will be the fclose, right? Or the close. Now, this function is used to close the files once you are done with all the operations you wanted to do on it. This comes at the end of the operation you are performing on the file. It's always nice to close a file after you've done a work on it. So PHP fclose function is used to close an open file pointer. When I say open file pointer, it means that whenever you're working with a file, what happens is there is a pointer that points to the location of this file. Once you are done with the file, you might want to unlink or disconnect that pointer from it. You use the fclose method. Next thing is, when you open a file, you want to read the content some of the time, right? That is when you open the file in read mode, right? So the fread is an inbuilt function that is used to read the content of a file. It accepts two arguments, the resource and the file size. When you are reading the file, you need to pass in the file size, and this returns a string, right? Meaning that when you use fread, it returns a string. It reads the content of the file and returns the content as a string. This is a syntax. You have fread, then the handle, and the length. The handle refers to the variable that you use to store the file when you open. Right, an example, you have something like this. We'll actually get into this. The next thing is that you might also want to write into a file. Take for example that you have a registration form that submits into a file. What you will do is you actually get this uh, contents from the form, and then now you use the fwrite method. The fwrite function is used to write a content to a file. Now these contents are written as a string, just as fread, where you retrieve it as a string. So you have this syntax here, and the last one will be how to unlink or how to delete a file. We use the unlink inbuilt function. It is used to delete a file. So we are actually going to get into this right now, and we are going to go from one method to another. So I'll go back to open. How do you open a file? So I'm going to open my editor, and I'm going to minimize this and clear my console. I have a file here, file.php inside the files folder, and a given file called file.txt with some contents. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open this file in the file.php. How do you do that? Use the fopen, right? Then you pass in the file name. Now, sometimes you might actually want to put it like this. Declare a variable that stores the location of the file. So I'll put file.txt, and okay, now I'll open the file in which mode. See, the next thing is the mode. So if I want to open in write mode, this is what I will do, right? That is the syntax to open a file. You open it in the mode you want to do. Okay, let me put it in read mode for now. Next thing is this: we are going to actually read the contents of this file. That is where you use the fread that we talked about, right? For reading files, you use the fread. After opening the file, you want to read the content. So I'll come back here, and I'll do fread in the file and the size of the file. That is, those are the parameters you pass into the fread inbuilt function, right? And I'm going to actually assign this to a variable called file content, something like that, right? So if we try uh, running this file right now, we use php file.php and run it. Oh, we have this error. Oh, okay, just some few minutes so I get to see what the problem is. Okay, so I have my file here. I'm going to pass in the file path. File path, the file.txt. I'm going to open it in read mode, right? Using the file name, and then I pass in the mode. Then I'm going to read the contents of this file, and I'm going to try to print out the file contents, right? Let's try this out and see how it goes. All right, so php file.php, you actually see the contents being displayed here, right? That is how you read a file in PHP. I've opened the file, right? Next, I have read the contents of the opened file. Like we said, the handle, or sorry, the open maps the file location to a given variable so that at any instance you can actually call that variable and it will be the resource, right? It is like you are indirectly downloading this file from this location to your script. Okay, that is how you open a file, that is how you read the file. The next thing, if you notice, I closed this file at the end, right? You should always make it as a practice to close your file at the end. Right, so we have read the file. The next thing will be how to uh, write into a file. Firstly, before you write into a file, you have to open the file in write mode, right? You can't open a file in read mode and you are expecting to actually write into the file. For example, fwrite, and passing file name, and I try writing in there. I'm just writing hello world. What do you expect that will happen here? Let me rerun this. You actually see that we get an error. You write all failed because we have a bad descriptor. And what is a bad descriptor? We opened this file in read mode, right? So if we pass in write mode, then I'm going to comment the read, right? Let Let me even not comment it. I have opened the file in write mode. I've read the file, and I also want to write into this file before printing out the content, right? So let's clear this and rerun our script. Oh, oh, okay, it is empty. Now let me put some content inside, for example. No, not putting some content inside. I'm going to comment this read, and then the F write, I'm going to write hello world into the file. Let's see how it goes. It will just do. Maybe deleting this would be an option. I do not want to delete it. I wanted all to be on the same file, but it's okay. Okay, so we read the file, right, and stores it in the handle variable. So we've indirectly downloaded this file in write mode, and we want to write hello world into this file.txt, right? Here, and we run our script, and we have nothing is returned because it was successful, right? It returns a boolean. When we do conditionals, again, we'll come back to all of this and try doing some validations to see if actually it went. Now I open my file.txt and you actually see that the hello world has been written. Now note something, right? We have done the read mode, we've done the write mode. This write mode, what it does is it overwrites everything that existed in your file. So if I had something else, let me say is is something else. Like I had this content inside and I rerun this script. What happens is it overwrites what was inside. Most of the times you will not want this to happen. So there is another mode that you use. You use the append mode, right? And from here, if I run my script or you open it, you actually see hello world and hello world, meaning that it only adds to your content, right? Yes, that is how you open files in PHP, how you read the content, and how you actually write into the files. So sometimes you might also want to maybe do a slash n, let me see, just to make sure that it goes to the new line, right? I'm going to actually delete everything here and then rerun this script and rerun it again, and we come in here and you actually see that it has written onto a new line, right? So that is it. You can let me just comment something. You can open a file in read mode. You can write into a file, or maybe read file contents. You can write to a file using fwrite, read a file using fread, a file using fopen, and close a file, using fclose, right? Those are the things you can do to a file in PHP. Last but not the least, most of the times you want to delete a file. Maybe it's no longer useful, you've read the contents and you want to delete, right? So to delete a file, let me see, delete PHP, and I'm going to actually just delete the file. So I'm going to pass in the file name and I'm going to pass in the unlink, and I'm passing the file name. Sorry. Right now, when I execute this, a few minutes. Let me clear this console. When I execute this, I'm expecting that this file.txt is supposed to be deleted. So if I run PHP, sorry, Control C, PHP delete PHP, then you see the file automatically goes, right? Let me create my file back. We need a file.txt, and write in some content. This is the, yeah, that's my name from Drew, and come back here, open this, and pass in my email, for example, from gmail.com. Good. So I want to write in my email into this file, and the next thing is I am going to actually, after writing, I'm going to read the file. So I'll do read, and I'm passing the file name, size, right, and store that in content. Okay. The next thing I am going to actually echo the content. That is what we want to do. I want to write into a file, and I read back the file and see what is displayed as the content, right? So if I execute this file.php, oh sorry, okay, same error we had before, right? So I'm going to actually reopen the file again. Open, close it before reopening. So F close, and I pass in file name, and I reopen it. F open in file name in read mode. Right? Okay, good. So if we run this out, few minutes, we have the file passed in. Okay, what error do we have? Supply resource is not valid for resource. Supplied resource is not valid. F open. Okay, file is equal to that. Then I'm passing the file and file, right? Hopefully that was it. I'm sure that's the error being fixed. Okay, let's see what is in here. We have this, and let's execute this. Okay, let's see. On file size argument file name must be of type string. File call F open. Come back here. Put in file name here, so we see F close. Okay, so we have our file, right? All right, so just a recap. These are actually two different things. Maybe I should cut this and create another file called write PHP. Is this content inside? Okay, so we have this. Let me actually delete all of these right to this level, right? Delete this and leave just the name. Next, I am going to run this script right into a file. So let's rename this to read, please. Read, and rename this to write, right? Just for naming convention. So firstly, we are going to actually first, let's try to read this file, right? So try my console and php read.php, and we have what cannot be empty. Okay, sorry. File is equal to file.txt. So I think that was it. So we have the file source now, and we want to read from that file. So we run this script, and we keep on having errors. So we have this now. We actually run this script and get the contents of this file at the beginning. We're running it. We have that it has a form, right? Now let's run the fwrite, write some content into it, then go back and read to actually see if something has added, right? So I will rerun this. Hopefully we don't have those same errors. Write PHP, and actually returns nothing showing that it has written. We come here and we see uh, my email. Now let's come here and read this content. See, something has added, right? Yes, that is how you work with files in PHP. You can actually do a lot of things with files. Your assignment for the week might have to do with doing a registration from the front end using form, and that form is going to write the data into a file and then print out the data on the front end. These are just some basics. I think I have actually given you an overview of what you'll be expecting for the project of the week. That is how you work with files in PHP. And yeah, I think that is it. You have learned how to open a file, how to read a file, how to write into a file, and how to delete a file with PHP. I think that is enough for a start, and you can actually build from there. There are actually so many awesome things that you can do with all of these file functions in PHP. Yeah, I think we can end there, and hopefully we see on our next tutorial, which we have to build I think loops, and that is where something very amazing is coming in. We're actually going to see how to put all of this together and do something very useful, right? We do loops, we do conditional statements, and so on, right? For now, I think we are done. Bye.